The change, it is coming, and it is powered by crypto.
I just was fascinated about this global currency that was enabling especially these people in high inflation areas to have financial inclusion.
Empowering Afghani women persecuted by the Taliban or turning a poor farmer into a crypto investor. It is helping women realize their potential and become part of the conversation. Coming up on Word on the Blog, Wendy Diamond, Web3 impact investor at LDP Ventures and CEO and founder of Women's Entrepreneurship Organization, joins in to dive deep into those topics and a whole lot more. Numbers don't lie. 1 in 3 college-educated women don't believe that they have equal access to financial systems in their own country. And 93% of them think that technology will have an impact on finance in the next decade. So there's a huge disconnect here. Well, what can we do about it? Does the solution to a more inclusive and gender-diverse financial system lie with crypto? Welcome to Word on the Blog, the series that takes a deeper dive into blockchain and all the emerging technologies that shape our world at the intersection of business, politics, and economy. It's what we cover right here on Forkast.News. I'm Editor-in-Chief Angie Lau. And today I'm thrilled. We are in conversation with Wendy Diamond, CEO and founder of Women's Entrepreneurship Day organization, more popularly known as WeDo, which is trying to bridge the gender chasm here that we're really seeing in the world. And that is where we come to next. We're talking to Wendy, what her story is, how she thinks crypto is really engaging us in a higher way. Wendy, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm thrilled that you're here. You are a media goddess, I would say, a media guru, okay, who started the first pet lifestyle media company to enormous success. And now you're in blockchain, you're in crypto, you're in Web3. How did this all start for you?
I grew up in a small town in Ohio, like 2,500 people, right? Where, growing up, I had horses and dogs and cats and the whole thing. And I just really loved community, right? Because we were a small community, but we were all like together and animals played a big part in my life. And when I moved to New York City, so I adopted my dog and cat from the shelter and I learned 12 million animals were euthanized a year that year. And that year also was, you would go into the media and you never saw like celebrities or pop culture, or you never saw anybody talking about adoption or rescue. It was very bizarre, right? So I knew that by creating a media company and bringing celebrities and pop culture to the animal rescue world, we could teach everyone you could adopt any breed, any size, any age, right? And literally because of starting Animal Fair, Vanity Fair, New York Times, Forbes, Fox, et cetera, said we, brought celebrities and pop culture to the animal rescue world. That number today is down to only 2 million, less than 2 million animals euthanized a year. I would go around the country and promote and do events and support the local animal rescue groups around the world, around the United States, but also the world. And what happened was I ended up getting a crazy stalker who completely ruined my life, literally. And by 2012, my whole life of what I created, literally I had to step back from the, public life and literally, figure out what was going on. And what happened is I ended up on vacation in Honduras, the murder capital of the world. And when I booked the trip, I didn't know it was the murder capital of the world, but I booked it and I was like, oh my gosh. But I'm an adventurer and I'm not hanging out with the drug lords, right? And, what I say to people about my story is that, embrace life. Whatever is put in front of you, there is a positive. You might not know it in a day, a year, or 10 years, right? Well, I decided, the guy who ran the hotel said, there's an amazing organization that provides microloans for poor women. Why don't you go check it out? It's safe. I know the development director. Go check it out. So I ended up on this journey, right, where I learned all about the statistics of women. This was 2013. So when I went on this journey to go to this organization called Adelante with this development director. I was supposed to spend, a few hours. I spent 3 days, literally dirt floor, the whole thing, and met all these incredible women that were receiving these $100 microloans. I met this one woman. She was 72 years old and she had 3 little kids. And I'm like, how'd you have these 3 little kids? Like, whoa, it's a miracle. And she's like, my daughter passed away. The husband ran off and she got the $100 microloan and was able with that $100 to open up a window in her 1-room hut where she shared with these 3 little grandchildren on a dirt floor and sell Cokes and toothpaste, right? And literally, around the world, there's millions of women receiving these loans. So they're paying it back at a 98% rate. 90% of that goes to educate their children, provide for their families. 1 out of 8 women in America were living in poverty. I'm like, wow, why is nobody talking about this, right? So I went back to our governor and our mayor and I said, could we create a day in the world called Women's Entrepreneurship Day to bring awareness, to empower, celebrate, and support women economically? Because if we support women economically, we know 90% of that money goes to educate the children, provide for their families, and uplift the entire community, right? And when women are empowered in business, they have self-confidence, they have dignity, they don't allow human rights violations. In 2014, literally the team in Africa, I was introduced to a woman in Botswana that was a goat farmer who couldn't afford health care for her son, had really serious health issues. And sadly, the son passed away. But on that journey, she learned about Bitcoin. I learned about Bitcoin in 2014. And why is that, right? Because this woman created the Satoshi Center in Botswana, like in her little hut. You know what I'm saying? And to educate the people of Botswana about Bitcoin. Fast forward today, she's advising the government of Botswana on crypto. She's being funded by Jack Dorsey. Anyways, that's how I learned about it. And that's how I started what Bitcoin is about is what our foundation's about, right? Our foundation was founded on helping, the 2.5 billion unbanked, right, are mostly women. And that's what, we have that same, mission. And so when I learned about Bitcoin, I was like, what? I was like, this is unbelievable. And, I'm not a techie. I'm not like I'm not like one of these people, but I just was fascinated about this global currency that was enabling, especially these people in high inflation areas, to have financial inclusion. So when you look at Bitcoin and the usage and the millions of people using it in Venezuela and Zimbabwe and Botswana and Nigeria, that aligns with what our belief is with our foundation. So that was how I originally got into it.
Damn.
Sorry.
Oh, that's all. I'm going to say damn. Okay, here's why. You built up through simply identifying a need and asking the question, why? And then you did it. That is by definition a founder. That is by definition an entrepreneur. That is by definition a change maker. Okay. Now you did this for animals and animal welfare and really connecting the dots and creating this powerful voice. You go to Honduras, happenstance, and boom, you meet somebody that makes a click for you. And you mentioned that about crypto. What is it about crypto that speaks to you in the same way that you identified a need, a problem, and you go, hey, here's a possible solution. Why not this? Why is crypto that for you?
I think, when we think about like Web3 and we think about the metaverse and NFTs, let's not forget the mother of this whole ecosystem, Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin is, to me, and, if you look it up and you kind of look at the history of it, the most high integrity deflationary instrument ever created in history that isn't controlled by a government or some few people, right? Which is a global, run by the people, decentralized, to enable peer-to-peer transactions in an immutable, transparent traceability, and providing this so it enables the 2.5 billion unbanked financial inclusion. All they need is their phone. My whole thing was to, bring awareness towards animal rescue, bring awareness towards empowering women economically who are impoverished from a ground up approach. It's never been like me. It's all about we, right? We do. And so I feel like, the founders, Satoshi of Bitcoin, they didn't care about fame, money, or power, right? And they've never sold or transferred any of their Bitcoin, and they're worth billions and billions of dollars, right? That says something about the integrity of this whole ecosystem. And I think that's what I care most about, because, when you think about, especially in the United States, with what's happened with bailing out all the banks and, who really benefited from that and who didn't and the whole thing, this to me is, I love it. I believe in it. And, I like to say that, sure, there's a lot of, like anything in this world, there's a few bad eggs, right? But, when you think of the whole, why this was created, it has such high integrity that we must embrace it.
You're an advisor on numerous interesting crypto funds, including Perceptive Capital, just to name a few. There's a significant gap between running a charity organization and supporting blockchain startups. So now you're in this space. What are you looking for? What do you think still needs to be supported in this space? Women in crypto, are there enough of us?
Right. So I, I've been in this space for a long time. I've been through the ICO stage where I lost a lot, and and I was just so excited because everyone was disrupting everything. I was like, sure. Right. So I decided to start investing in funds. So I'm currently an investor in 5 crypto Web3 funds. Also go into startups that are impactful. Yeah. So, what is my whole goal is to support the underdog. And the underdog is, those that don't have a voice. So that includes women, that includes animals, that includes climate change, everything. So, I believe, by being part of these funds, it's my responsibility to bring awareness towards the women founders in this space, and to enable and have a voice for them within these funds. So that has been my goal of, like, when I do invest in funds, to be a part of that. Because when you look at it, most of these crypto funds are founded by men, right? But how do we then bring those really great projects to them that really are impactful? So a few of the projects that, I'm in, one is called Animal Cloud, which is the Web3 of animal rescue, right? And and data and bringing adoption to Web3, right? So that you could track the life of these dogs and stop and know, and be able to figure out, how do we decrease, the adoption rates by enabling them to, responsible breeding and et cetera. And, these are the kind of projects I'm in. I'm also part of Block Tower Capital. I'm part of Coin Fund, early in Rarible and Dapper and a lot of the, early successful Web3 projects.
Lots of successes, but I want to take a quick break right now, because when we return, Wendy, I want to talk about how crypto is making a difference in times of distress and what WeDo is doing actively in Afghanistan after power reverted back into the hands of the Taliban when we come back.
After the break, helping women own their destiny through crypto.
Then you have to watch a quick little video about learning about crypto and creating an NFT. And then they receive the tokens.
And later, creating an inclusive Web3 world when Word on the Block returns.
If you don't understand the future, you'll never see your place in it. Introducing Forkast Plus, covering all things blockchain, independent reporting, insights, and access from Asia to the world. We cut through the noise where technology, insights, and access meet, where smart conversations happen. Make friends with disruption. Forkast Plus.
All right, we are back with Wendy Diamond of WeDo. And you, Wendy, are funding, 100,000 Afghan women with crypto. Your organization has been active in Afghanistan since 2014. And now, wow, more important than ever before. Tell us about the impact you've had and the decision to stay as the government fell in Kabul this year and the Taliban took over.
Right. Well, so our foundation, we're an all volunteer movement. So we look for like successful women that want to give back to their communities. Right. So yes, we were in Afghanistan during this whole transition period, et cetera. And our team there were forced to leave. Right. And what I learned is like, what was crypto really created for? But this type of situation. Right. So I just started reading a lot about just some of these incredible women there. You know, a lot of them were Gen Z, you know, and stuff like that. And I would go find them, you know, whether it was on TikTok or Instagram. And I'd be like, hey, you know, are you guys into crypto? You know, have you thought about this? And so then I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's create an initiative to fund 100,000 women in Afghanistan for a week's worth of food. So everyone can contribute $10. That's all it is, by the way. They get their rice, they get all the stuff, their necessities for the week. But what's really important before we give them, so it takes them 2 minutes to set up. So out of the 40 million people there, half of those people have mobile phones. Okay, whether it's a flip phone or mobile, right? And so we guesstimate about 5 million of those are women. So what we did is we just finished our pilot. So we finished the pilot that now these women have it. They then have to watch a quick little video about learning about crypto and creating an NFT. And then they receive the tokens. And we've brought on Stacks coin. Solana now is looking at how do they participate in this. So we're basically testing it out, and we're going to ask the entire, you know, Web3 community to get behind this. We've also connected with the e-commerce companies within Afghanistan. Now, you've got, you know, e-commerce companies. There's a Amazon of Afghanistan. I mean, they're only doing 30,000 packages, but to create a package so those women who receive this, these, you know, drops of coins are able then to spend it in these e-commerce companies within Afghanistan, right? And so they create a package so those women, when they go on, can just boop and then pay for it with their crypto. And so it's my goal to get this community, of which, even though we're, you know, in a winter right now, have done phenomenal, you know, well, and in honor of Satoshi, who created this movement, we should do what this whole ecosystem was created upon doing, and it's enabling people financial inclusion. And the majority of the 2.5 billion unbanked are women. So this is one of these projects that I think is very important. And I think that it enables everybody in the community to support.
What you're also showing is really you're conducting a case study, a real life pilot trial that shows off the ability of this peer-to-peer payment system to help in a humanitarian crisis, in any sort of event of need, where we can see the power of digital currency, you know, being actively used to help on the ground.
You know, there is such a need for projects like this in the world. And that's, again, oh, by the way, and talking about Women's Entrepreneurship Day, it's an official day on November 19th. And, you know, since November 19th falls on a Saturday, the one that we do in New York at the United Nations is going to be held on November 18th. And that day is celebrating the impact of Web3 and crypto and what they've done in the world. Because there's so many projects around the world, for instance, like the Ukraine DAO and Unicorn DAO and all these people that have really contributed to the betterment of the world, right? That I think it's important that we bring this to the forefront.
Are there other spots in the world where you see that people have been marginalized and you're very aware of these spots, and they exist even in our own countries, right? Where do you see the application of crypto beyond what we're seeing right now? I mean, everybody's hearing the obviously scary headlines, crypto winter, contagion, and wealth destruction and its enormous impact, right?
You know, we're up against the naysayers, right? We're up against so much. But if you just read between the lines, like, you know, BlackRock doing their Bitcoin, and all this stuff, you'll see it's going to happen. It's just going to take a lot longer, because the fact is, you know, we're 13 years old. and I know like Gen Z and millennials like need it yesterday, need it quickly. But you know what? Patience, because it's happening. There's some of the most incredible minds behind this whole thing. And it's truly, to me, I've never been so excited about, some of these projects that are really going to change this world for the better.
When we return, we're going to talk more about that, Wendy. And we're going to talk more about inclusivity, or rather the lack of it in the crypto sector, and what actively should be done about it, why it matters to the bottom line, and more important, the global economic health of this world when we come back.
On the other side, the 90-10 rule and pushing women to recognize their abilities. More when we come back.
Okay, Wendy, we've talked about so many things, but inclusivity, you're actively doing something about it with Women Entrepreneurship right? We do more. We can do. We do. And how can we all do it? Not just women, but male allies and women allies in this space to include more. And why is that important?
And that's like another thing. We're not like, we love men.
Of course we do.
Yeah. Like we're not male, any of that. In fact,
I got a 5-year-old son. I got to love my guy. I got to love my guy who gave me my little guy. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's like the whole thing. It's about, it's about education. And I'll say like some of the greatest men in this ecosystem are supporting our movement. Everyone from, Seth Gins, one of the heads of Coin Fund, to Tom Lee from Fundstrat, to, Jameis Johnson and Ali Hassan at Perceptive are really big supporters. And I think that's the key to this, is to really bring a lot, and support these initiatives, whether it's being part of Women's Entrepreneurship Day all over the world and supporting our ambassadors all over the world that are creating our movement and participating. It's again, Women's Entrepreneurship Day is going to be celebrated in the metaverse. So everyone can participate this year and be part of it, right? It's about also supporting all these DAOs that are out there that are supporting women, whether it's All Stars DAO, Women DAO, or whether it's Her DAO, or whether it's, Wow Pixies, or whatever it might be. There are so many women that are really fighting to support women in this space and to help the developers create different, companies, and partnering and collaborating, that everyone can make a difference, right? Everyone can participate. Whether you're still in Web 2, you can participate. Whether you're young and you don't know what you're doing, you can participate. What is so amazing about this ecosystem is that there's so much opportunity. I mean, all the companies that I'm in and all the funds I'm in have so many job opportunities. It's about education and enabling these women to understand that they are capable and that they should apply. And also, simple as just attending meetups in the space. There's meetups everywhere in the world, and about, just being able to be educated. And a lot of people are fearful of it. And what I always say to them is, like, during the pandemic, I'll tell you, it was hysterical. I literally probably spent hundreds of hours watching YouTube videos.
YouTube University.
I would go to something, or I'd watch something and someone would say something and I'd be like, what the heck is that? Yeah. And there I am 2 minutes later when I'm done watching 5 YouTube videos to get it, right? Because, at the end of the day, it's super exciting. I mean, there's so much education out there for Web3. Every protocol, whether it's Near, whether it's Solana, whether it's, Polygon, Ethereum Foundation, there are all these free ways to learn about, blockchain, about all these protocols and how you can, be a part of it.
So a lot of women, I think, is the 90-10% rule, right? We all know what that is. For women, we have to feel 90% capable before we raise our hand And, you know, the guys in the room, it's 10% capable. And yeah, I'm ready to go. I can own this space. How do we flip that thinking? What do the women who are watching this and the male allies who are watching this need to recognize? How do we flip that thinking and have every woman raise their hand? If they are interested in this space, really, you are capable.
You know, like when you say that, I kind of was thinking that's me kind of too, right? Like I don't really, I'm not the one who's like, oh, even though I'm kind of experienced and I've had a lot of experience in life and I'm just totally, in all sectors and understand how to make things happen. I think you really need to do this at a young age. So it's about, at a young age, enabling your children to have jobs, right? And to be able to be self-sufficient and to be able to open their minds and to become entrepreneurs. Because in our society today, people are not graduating college and working for somebody for 20 years, right? They have to be an entrepreneur. They have to be, you can never lose your inner child of excitement, right? Of always, wondering, wow, or how, and how can I do that? Or let me try, right? When you were young, you were like all about that, right? And by bringing that into always remembering that will enable women to just, whether you've just lost your job and you don't know what you're going to do, it's like, take that journey, go down that rabbit hole of YouTube, look at all the videos, watch it. What excites you? Is it the metaverse? Is it gaming? Is it editing? And really, and if you're interested in something, do one Google. If you're interested in real estate, there's a ton of blockchains for real estate. If you're interested in, education, there's tons of that. And then just do your research. Because I always say to people, like, I had no idea, honestly, like my whole life, I've been an entrepreneur. I never had a job. I applied for like 100 jobs after college. No one hired me, so I always had to create my own thing. Right. And I was not a good student. Right. And so I think it's just really understanding what's the worst that could happen. And the worst that could happen is someone says no, but I can promise eventually someone will say yes, and I think it's just so important for people just to have it inside them to try and ask.
Well, you have said yes to so many people, and I think you've flipped the equation. So, we might only know 10%, but there's 90% of people like the Wendy Diamonds of the world. And hopefully what we're doing here at Forkast and this incredible community of people who will say also yes. All you have to do is know that they are there and you seek them out. You seek them out. That 90% of that equation is you simply asking for help and getting guidance, because the yeses are all around us.
And I've never seen, I think you'll agree, Angie, I've never seen a more, passionate group of people in wanting to educate people and wanting people to be involved. So wherever you are in this world, I can guarantee there's probably a crypto community on Meetup or somewhere, or you could find it, and again, it's just like, just do some research, because there's so many people working on such impactful projects. And it's so important for people to have purpose in life. That's what's going to keep you, whatever you're working on, it's just like, wow, I'm making a difference because I'm helping X, Y, Z. Right. And I think that's, kind of like with me, with all the projects I work on, it's always like, it's not about me. It's the bigger problem that we're facing and that we're trying to solve.
Your story is incredible, and I can't wait to join forces with you. It would be an honor, and I can't wait to see the stories that we will write together and the stories that we will write about what you're doing and continuing to do. It's been a privilege and great to just chat with you for this Word on the Block episode, and I can't wait to do more of it.
Woohoo! Angie, thank you so much. So grateful.
Thank you, Wendy, for joining us today, and thank you, everyone, for joining us on this latest episode of Word on the Block. I hope that you've been inspired, and go nudge that woman in your life, your daughter, your sister, your mother, your grandmother, to get into this space. It is world changing, and that's why we're all here in it after all. I'm Angie Lau, Forkast Editor-in-Chief. Until the next time.